Good afternoon and welcome to everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Rob May and I'm the founder and the executive chair here at Ramsac. I'm also the UK ambassador for cybersecurity with the IOD, and I sit on the advisory board of the Cyber Resilience Centre. And I'm delighted to be joined online today with my colleague Charlie Thompson, who will join us later in proceedings, and he's our resident guru on Ramsac's own cybersecurity services. During the session, if you've got questions based on anything that we have to say, please use the chat feature and we'll either answer it in the chat, cover it in the Q&A session at the end, or if we run out of time, one of us will give you a call back and carry on the conversation thereafter. Now, if you've heard me speak before, you'll know that I'm passionate about cybersecurity and about ensuring that our businesses and our lives are as cyber resilient as possible. The combination of artificial intelligence or AI with cybersecurity is an absolute game changer in safeguarding our digital lives, both at work and at home, and safeguarding them against complex and frequent cyber threats. Traditional security methods will often fall short, and that highlights the need for cutting edge AI solutions that can adapt to new dangers, as I'm going to go on to explain. And today's talk will cover the progression from core notions to state-of-the-art practices and what's on the horizon for AI in cybersecurity. We'll touch on AI's significant effects. I'll talk about ethical and legal considerations, and also the obstacles that my business and your business needs to overcome. And the session's designed to be relevant and actionable for everybody, really, from business leaders to security experts to AI aficionados, or basically just anyone who's interested in the advancement of a safer digital world. AI at its core refers to the simulation by machines and computer systems of human intelligence processes. And these processes include learning, so acquisition of data and rules for using that information, reasoning, so using rules to reach approximate or definite conclusions, and self-correction. And we can broadly, when I'm talking about this particular subject and application of AI, I think we can broadly categorize AI into narrow AI, which is designed to perform tasks such as facial recognition or internet searches, and more generic or general AI. And that has the capability to perform any intellectual task that we might otherwise ask a human to do. And in this session, I think we also need to consider machine learning, which is a subset of artificial intelligence, involving the use of algorithms and data models, which enable computers to then perform specific tasks without using explicit instructions, but simply relying on patterns of behavior or patterns in data and inference. When we talk about the cybersecurity landscape, that refers to both the global and the local cyber threat environment in which we find ourselves. And it encompasses all potential as well as identified cyber threats, which affect organizations and individuals. It's dynamic, it's constantly evolving due to the emergence of new vulnerabilities, new malware and new attack techniques. And as our dependence on technology grows, so does the sophistication and the frequency of cyber attacks. Cyber threats take many different forms. That includes malware, ransomware, phishing, APTs, which are advanced persistent threats. And each of these require specific strategies to mitigate against them. Traditional cybersecurity measures rely heavily on predefined rules and signatures. So, for example, antivirus software will scan files for signatures known as malware or malicious software. And whilst that's effective to a degree, these methods struggle to keep pace with the rapidly evolving nature of cyber threats. And this is where AI steps in, offering a dynamic and proactive approach to what we do in cybersecurity. Traditional cybersecurity methods, which generally use set rules and signatures, can't always move fast enough to keep up with evolving threats. And cyber criminals are constantly finding new ways to evade our cyber defenses. As soon as we find a new way to defend for you, our customers, and potential customers, so cyber criminals find new ways to attack. So AI-powered threat detection and response systems have gone on to become crucial. And they utilize machine learning, deep learning, and other forms of artificial intelligence to process massive data sets, to look for and detect new patterns, and then swiftly counteract any threats. And these so-called intelligent systems gain knowledge from previous attacks, and they evolve to tackle new dangers and simply integrate security operations, greatly improving an organization's defense mechanisms. AI-enhanced cybersecurity systems can automate response actions, reducing the time it takes to mitigate an attack. So, for example, in the event of a detected threat, an AI system might isolate affected machines, they might block malicious IP addresses, or they might apply security patches automatically. And this rapid response is absolutely crucial in minimizing the impact of cyber attacks. It's fair to say that AI-driven systems are revolutionizing what we're able to do in terms of cyber threat detection and response. They offer sophisticated methods for identifying and mitigating security threats in real time. It enhances cybersecurity and it enables predictive analytics much, much faster than a human could ever dream of doing. And that can then forecast potential threats based on historical data or things that it's learnt by looking at that data. And by using tools that can understand trends and patterns in cyber attacks, organizations can anticipate and prepare for future threats. And that, of course, improves their overall security posture, which can only be a good thing, right? Despite its potential, the integration of AI into cybersecurity isn't without its challenges. And we have to, as a provider of such services, we have to deal with those challenges. And one significant concern is the risk of adversarial attacks, where the attackers are attempting to deceive the AI systems by manipulating the input of data that the AI is using. So the cyber criminals are intelligent to that. And then additionally, the complexity of AI models, easy for you to say, the complexity of AI models can make them difficult to interpret, which might lead to potential issues with trust and accountability. And while technology is definitely a powerful tool in cyber defense, the human element remains an absolute critical cornerstone. People, with their unique abilities to discern, to adapt, and to empathize, are indispensable in safeguarding our digital landscape. And we refer to this element of a comprehensive defense solution as person in the loop. And there are systems on the market that dispense with this to save money, but trust me, that's ill-advised. Whenever we discuss AI in any aspect of our lives, it's essential that we discuss the ethical considerations, which will always play a crucial role. And the use of AI in cybersecurity raises questions about privacy, it raises questions about data security, and questions about the potential for misuse. And ensuring that AI systems are transparent, they're fair and accountable is absolutely essential. Otherwise, we won't gain and maintain trust of users or of the public as a whole. And the integration of AI into cybersecurity represents a change in thinking in how we approach digital security. Definitely, by leveraging AI's capabilities in data analysis, in threat detection and automated response, we know that we can create more robust and adaptive security systems. However, it's crucial to navigate the associated challenges and the ethical considerations carefully to realise AI's full potential in enhancing cybersecurity for all of us. And with the rise of complex and increasingly complex cyber threats, there's also a heightened demand for progressive cybersecurity tactics. And machine learning, an aspect of artificial intelligence, is crucial in current cybersecurity plans, as it allows systems to evolve through data analysis, to adjust to emerging threats, and to automate responsive actions. There's constantly new threats coming, and whatever systems we've got in place, somebody will always be the first person to receive those attacks and those threats. This is the so-called zero-day attacks that you will hear about. Zero-day means it's the first day that anybody's ever seen these attacks, and the security companies haven't yet come up with methods to mitigate those. And by us using machine learning in looking for patterns, we can hopefully beat the cyber criminals in successful attacks. AI-driven behavioural analysis involves monitoring and analysing the behaviour of our users, and their devices and their applications. And we're looking to detect changes in behavior, to detect any potential threats. And machine learning models can establish and set baselines of what is normal behavior in any individual organization or for any individual user, and then identify deviations that might indicate compromised accounts or even insider threats. So, for example, if a user's login pattern suddenly changes, such as logging in from multiple locations within a short period, the AI system can flag this as suspicious and initiate further scrutiny or maybe automated responses, such as temporary account lockdowns. And if you use our Secure Plus service, you'll know we refer to this as impossible travel, i.e. you've been in the office in London all day and now, half an hour later, you're trying to connect via Moscow. It's just impossible for that travel to have happened, and our AI systems will kick in. And the great thing with this is how AI excels at detecting anomalies, and the systems can then alert security teams to those potential breaches or malicious activities so that they can be investigated further. Another significant advantage of AI in cybersecurity is its ability to automate incident response. So by leveraging AI, organizations can reduce the time that it takes to respond to security incidents, minimizing the potential damage caused by breaches. And AI-driven response mechanisms can include isolating affected machines or blocking IP addresses or applying security updates or patches automatically. So for instance, if an AI-powered system detects a ransomware attack in progress, it can immediately isolate compromised machines to prevent the spread of that malicious software or malware. And AI systems can quickly adapt to changing threats by learning from new data and from user feedback. And they can adjust the rules in real time to block threats that didn't otherwise exist. You know, they might not have existed yesterday, but they're able to then update the detection algorithm so as to stay effective. And that's fantastic. AI-driven predictive analytics forecast potential security incidents by analysing both historical data, but also identifying patterns in that historical data that preceded cyber attacks. And by understanding these patterns, we can then proactively strengthen defences and mitigate risks before they ever materialise. So for instance, predictive analytics might reveal that a specific type of attack tends to occur following certain network activities or certain user behaviours. And armed with that information, security teams can implement preemptive measures such as increased monitoring or additional access controls to prevent potential breaches. And AI-driven systems can analyze massive amounts of data with incredibly high accuracy, which then reduces the likelihood of false positives and false negatives. And this precision enables security teams to focus on genuine threats rather than wasting time on, what could be thousands of benign activities on an ongoing basis. And by automating the threat detection and response, we reduce the time that it takes to identify and to mitigate security incidents. And that rapid response is absolutely crucial in minimizing the impact of cyber attacks and preventing further damage. Cyber attacks are just horrendous, and the impact, many businesses, if they've not prepared for this, don't recover from a cyber attack. There's lots and lots of case studies of businesses who have been taken out by sophisticated cyber attacks and didn't have defenses in place, and the business just never recovers from that. And these automated systems enable us to scale the delivery of service to handle large volumes of data and complex security environments. And that scalability is essential for organizations of any size. But anyone who uses digital infrastructure or has numerous devices or endpoints to protect. We saw, last week with the CrowdStrike problem where a tool brought down so much IT infrastructure. Now, that problem was a software bug. It could very easily have been a cyber attack. And it illustrated, I think, perfectly the risk. And you realize just how many things are tied up with tech. And we have to prepare for that. And AI-driven security solutions continuously learn from the data that they have, and they adapt to emerging threats. And this ability to evolve ensures that the systems that we're using to protect remain effective against the very latest cyber threats and don't become obsolete over time. It's not that many years ago that when people were thinking about this stuff, they simply would have been thinking in terms of antivirus. and it was important to keep your antivirus updated because there are thousands of new viruses every month. So if you weren't updating your antivirus, then you weren't protected against the next thing that was going to attack. But it's far, far more in depth and far more complex than that today. Now, natural language processing in AI is called NLP, and that's a bit confusing because in the world outside of AI, NLP means something else. It's neuro-linguistic programming, but in AI and cybersecurity, we talk about natural language processing, and it's a branch of artificial intelligence that has absolutely revolutionized many different areas by enabling computers to understand, to interpret, and respond by generating what we know as human language, using the language that we speak with nuances and dialect and so on. And in cybersecurity, NLP plays an absolute critical role in detecting phishing attempts, in analysing the sentiment of messages and what people are typing, and in identifying any form of malicious communication. And phishing remains one of the most prevalent and damaging cyber threats. Attackers craft emails and messages that appear legitimate in order to trick recipients into divulging sensitive information. And NLP, or natural language processing, can significantly enhance phishing detection by analysing the language used in emails, comparing it to usual emails, and identifying therefore suspicious patterns. And our NLP models are trained on large data sets of phishing and legitimate emails to detect linguistic features indicative of phishing. So things like urgency or threatening language or abnormal request patterns. And these models can then flag potentially malicious emails for further investigation or automatic blocking. So, for example, an NLP system that we use might analyze an email subject line, body text, and sender information to identify common phishing tactics like spoof domains, misleading links, and fraudulent requests for personal information, things that we wouldn't expect to see. We also use sentiment analysis to evaluate the emotional tone in text. And that's used in cybersecurity to gather threat intelligence. And by analysing online discussions, our security analysts can identify emerging threats and detect potential cyber attacks. Negative sentiment spikes can indicate heightened risks, prompting organisations to strengthen their defences. NLP is also super useful in helping to detect insider threats by monitoring internal communications for suspicious language or behaviour patterns. It can analyse emails and chat messages to detect signs of discontent or perhaps data exfiltration attempts, and alert security teams to potential threats before they become a problem within the business and can escalate. So whilst NLP enhances cybersecurity, it does also present other challenges, such as data privacy and ethical concerns. And we all have to balance security needs with employee privacy, whilst also complying with data protection regulations. We've got the EU AI Act starting to be implemented. The EU AI Act is like GDPR on steroids and affects anybody who has clients who are based within Europe. So just because we're no longer in Europe post-Brexit, if you've got client data or employee data of European citizens, you've absolutely got to comply with the EU AI Act. And AI and NLP systems face challenges due to the inherent ambiguity and context dependency of human language. So homonyms or sarcasm or cultural differences in our communication can lead to misinterpretation, which might then result in false positives or negatives. And to combat evolving cyber threats, NLP models need to be continuously updated and retrained on new data and new learning. And cyber criminals adapt their language and their tactics to evade detection. And that makes regular updates absolutely essential in these systems in order to have effective security measures. And organizations need to invest in infrastructure and talent to develop effective AI NLP models. And that can be a limitation for obvious reasons, which is why you look typically to outsource that element of defense to someone like Ramsag. So why do we need AI assisted automation? Hopefully it's already become clear, but as cyber threats grow in number and in sophistication, security teams are overwhelmed by the volume of alerts and the number of incidents that they have to handle. And manual analysis and response are not only time consuming, but they're also prone to human error and to delays. Automation addresses these challenges by allowing AI systems to perform repetitive and time-intensive tasks. And that then frees up our human analysts to focus on more strategic and more complex issues. Automation in cybersecurity encompasses a wide range of activities, from routine tasks like system log analysis and patch management to more complex processes such as threat hunting and incident response. And different organizations will use different elements, but by integrating AI into these activities, organizations can significantly enhance their security posture. Incident response is a critical aspect of cybersecurity. It involves the identification, the containment, the eradication, and the recovery from security incidents. And AI-driven automation can streamline this process by automating many of the routine and time-consuming tasks involved in incident response. And when a threat is detected, an AI cyber system or an AI assisted cybersecurity system can automatically gather relevant data, analyze the severity of the incidents, and then initiate appropriate response measures. These measures might include quarantining infected systems, applying patches, or rolling back affected software to a previous version or a previous state or point in time. And by automating these tasks, we can significantly reduce response times and limit the damage caused by security breaches. There's various examples of different tools and systems that we use here at Ramsag. Many of you will use Mimecast. Mimecast's email filter is a great example of how we can use AI and manage learning in our defenses. It uses supervised learning algorithms to filter for spam and for phishing emails. And it learns from user feedback and it analyzes billions of emails to accurately block malicious messages, ensuring high email security. And it learns from individuals in an organization, and organization, it automatically populates other organizations based from its learning. So as a community of users worldwide, we all benefit maintaining the highest level of email security for the users of the system. However, let's not forget that AI is also the cyber criminal's best friend too. And we must be on guard all of the time. In the cyber teams here at Ramsack, we're constantly seeing cunning, devious attacks, and the cyber criminals make just as much use of the advances in technology as we do in terms of both defense, but also, frankly, in terms of productivity. Don't forget, for a lot of these cyber criminals, cybercrime is their business. So if in your business, we're having conversations with you about how do we use AI to be more productive, cyber criminals are having exactly the same discussion. How can we use AI to make our cybercrime business more productive? So, and many of these organizations are so tech savvy that they might be further ahead of the game than you are. Deep fakes and voicemail risks pose significant threats in the current cybersecurity landscape. And both of those things are or can be AI driven. So, some of the key risks associated with each. On deep fakes, we see attempted fraud and attempted financial scams where cyber criminals can use deep fakes. And a deep fake, incidentally, is where they use AI to synthesize either a voice recording or a video recording. And we see cyber criminals use those deep fakes to impersonate executives or other high-ranking people within a business, convincing employees to transfer money or to disclose sensitive information. Deepfakes can also be used to create fake identities or manipulate existing ones, leading to identity theft and to privacy breaches. And on voicemail, we see voice used in phishing attacks where fraudulent voicemail notifications, such as fake Microsoft 365 voicemail alerts, can trick recipients into opening malicious attachments or visiting bogus login pages. Phishing is also part of social engineering, so voice phishing. And voicemails can be used in social engineering attacks to manipulate individuals into divulging sensitive information or performing actions that compromise security. There was a case not so long ago on the news about a woman who received a call and supposedly her daughter had been kidnapped, and the kidnapper put supposedly the daughter on the phone to speak to her mother, and then took the phone back and said, I want £1,000. Now, it was only £1,000. It's still £1,000, but the concept being most people, especially in the case of kidnap, would be able to get their hands on £1,000. And the mother transferred £1,000. And a couple of minutes later, the daughter walked through the door, and of course, it hadn't been her at all. It was synthesized voice, and they'd taken her voice just off of TikTok footage. There's a scam going on at the moment where somebody phones you and they say, "Can you hear me?" And the standard the standard response to "Can you hear me?" is people go, "Yes." And they go, "Can you hear me?" And they go, "Yes." And what they're doing is they are getting you to say yes a number of times with different stresses in your voice. It's totally fake. They're recording your voice to use that in deep fake voicemail attacks. So if you get that scam, if anyone phones you up and says, "Can you hear me?" never say yes. Always say, "I can hear you." Both deep fakes and voicemail scams, I think, highlight the importance of vigilance and robust cybersecurity measures to protect against these ever evolving threats. The sophistication of phishing attacks as well has grown with the use of AI and machine learning by cyber criminals. So I talked about phishing earlier in this in terms of how we use AI to detect and protect, and it's great. However, it's just as useful tool for the cyber criminals, and cyber criminals use a number of attacking tactics. So for example, by analyzing large sets of data, they might use AI to craft personalized phishing messages that seem legitimate, making it easier for attackers to target individuals or companies with custom content. Natural language generation, or NLG, natural language generation AI systems allow cyber criminals to create really compelling messages that closely imitate the human dialogue of the people that they're pretending to be. And that increases the likelihood that phishing attempts go undetected. AI also assists attackers in evading detection from security platforms by analysing legitimate communication patterns and then replicating those. So that then diminishes the effectiveness of conventional security tools. So overall, AI is transforming that phishing landscape. It creates more tailored, seemingly authentic and difficult to spot threats. And organizations like yours need to stay alert and to implement and to use sophisticated cybersecurity defenses to counteract these advancing dangers. And a question for you: what happens when your alarm goes off? When your metaphorical alarm goes off? So a staffed security operations center, or SOC, is essential in cyber defense. It's akin to a building security system. And when a burglar alarm in a building goes off, that's only any good if there are security people who can quickly assess and respond to the threat. So verifying whether it's a false alarm or an actual break-in. If an alarm goes off and nobody responds to it, then having that alarm is pointless. And similarly, in cyber defense, the SOC monitors network activities continuously, identifying and responding to threats in real time. And when a security alert is triggered, our SOC team here investigates the incident, determine its severity, and take appropriate actions to mitigate the threat. Without a SOC or a SOC service, same as being without security personnel to respond to a building alarm, threats could go unchecked, leading to potential breaches and significant damages. And lots of people invest in all sorts of cybersecurity solutions, but then they don't pay to have anyone checking for when the alarm goes off. And this is why it's essential to use appropriate AI cybersecurity defenses. So Ramsac's own Secure Plus is a best-in-class system which uses a blend of people in the loop along with unsupervised learning, which from AI, which mimics the human immune system. It identifies normal behavior and it detects, and so normal behavior and normal health, and then it detects anomalies in real time, providing adaptive and autonomous security. And that's why we like clients to have Secure Plus services, that proactive SOC service on top of the IT service, the other IT services that they work with us for. So my colleague Charlie Thompson, who's our Secure Plus and Ramsac Cyber Services guru, is on this call with me. And I wonder, so reflecting on everything that I've just shared with you, what would you like to ask? And if you would like to ask anything, if you use the raise your hand option in the chat, and then we can see what your message is. Charlie, are there any questions so far from the chat?
Yeah, absolutely, there are. So we've had Tim ask, and I've tried to answer a few of these as we go along, Rob, but it'd be good to have your insights on them. So Tim has asked, how common are AI-powered attacks currently compared to standard or old-style cyber attacks? And you've just covered quite a lot of that in your most recent slides, and I've talked about how we've seen definitely an increase in targeted phishing, and those phishing emails are becoming a lot harder to spot. They are written, yeah, very, very well now. So I think as a result, we're unfortunately going to see a natural increase in, successful clicks of people clicking through those emails and then entering credentials and being compromised. But it'd be good to get your take on it, Rob.
Yes, I think the number of AI attacks, I don't know how you would put a number on it. My gut feeling is that the vast majority of attacks now will have some element of AI that is being harnessed to deploy the attack, or to learn, or to, the days of phishing emails being poorly written with bad grammar and all the rest of it are long since gone. The fact that I can take an AI, I can take a video, and I can get relatively easy to use AI tools on my desktop to convert that video into any language that I want. And not only convert it into any language, but to manipulate the video so that the lip sync matches the language that's now being spoken. For those sort of tools, it costs about $20 a month. This is such low cost entry to market to be able to produce stuff that is truly convincing, that I would be amazed if the vast majority of attacks aren't now using an element of AI.
Fab. Thank you, Rob. And Ian has asked, given the issue with CrowdStrike last week, what in your view is the lesson learned from this outage, with a particular lens on, if we got an over-reliance on one particular AV or one particular security product, and then that product has an outage and essentially, leaves your organization disabled. So it'd be good to get your view on this, Rob.
It's really interesting, and there's lots of lessons to be learned from this. I read an article this morning where Microsoft will be bemoaning the fact that some of their services, they were forced to not use their own security from a monopolies perspective, but bemoaning the fact that if they had, this mismatch in code and update would never have happened. And of course, lots of people are still feeling the pain. Thankfully, not within our client base, but there are lots of people that if they had the CrowdStrike agent installed locally on their machines, then those machines need to be manually intervened with. They have to be restarted in safe mode and drivers updated. And that's horrendous. For most of us on this call, where we will have been impacted is where we're using web-based systems, where the web services were using an element of that CrowdStrike technology, which once corrected, servers rebooted and we were away. So that was quicker to remedy. There's lots of lessons for developers that, typical, the golden rule in development is you never push out an update at the end of the week. Yeah, that's I've been in this game for more years than I care to remember now, and forever. Back in the 1980s, we were always, you never do a software update at the end of a week, which is exactly what happened here. It was 2 lines of code. It was a small update, but we've got it. It brings into question, what's our reliance, what's our business continuity plan, what's our disaster recovery plan, what's our recovery time, are those recovery times acceptable, are there any manual systems, is there a key system that if it went down, we as an organization stop working? And if there is, what can you do to mitigate that? So there's lots and lots of subjects, and as you know, I talk about business continuity and I talk about unbreakable business, and this whole piece has fueled another section of my unbreakable business talk, for that very reason. But we've got to. I think the thing is what Thursday night demonstrated is the potential impact of, had that not been a software update, had that been a state-sponsored cyber attack from Korea or Russia or whatever, look at the damage that it caused. And we've just got to make sure that's a wake-up call that we use so much technology. We've got to make sure that the technology that we're using is properly configured, it's properly managed and maintained, and that we've got tools in place like Secure Plus to manage it and to watch it so that we can respond and stop things. I talked about how AI can look at things going wrong and actually stop a process and roll it back. That's absolutely where it comes into its own.
Fab. Thank you, Rob. As Tats has put in the chat, if anyone has any further questions, please do drop them in the chat or unmute yourself. Otherwise, I think we're good, Rob.
Okay. Well, if anybody thinks of anything afterwards, feel free to put it in the chat for the event, and we will gladly respond or give us a call or whatever. We're really very grateful that you joined us today. Ramsac's obviously known in the industry as the secure choice, and if we're not doing so already, we want to help your organization not just to be secure, but to be Secure Plus. So we look forward to hearing from you, and thank you for your time and your attendance today. Thanks very much.